All right, everyone, it's time to chuckle a little bit about the so-called skeptics. The communists formerly known as skeptics, I suppose. They're not communists. They prefer the term social democrat, except in private where they proclaim themselves socialists. Ranting about Parler, because it was funny because it's like, I guess the idea is that if you're like me, if you're a libertarian or something, that there's something wrong with you if you say, well, Twitter shouldn't be censoring people, I'm going to use Parler, and then you don't have a problem with them still having a TOS. I guess the idea is that everyone is supposed to either be a socialist or an ANCAP, and this sort of very, very simplistic dichotomous thinking, both in general and in more specific elements of political thought, is very common among far leftists. They don't want you to think that there's any nuance within political systems. For instance, they would say about libertarians, well, you have to support corporate censorship because it's a private business. Well, no, you don't, because you can apply the philosophical, classically liberal underpinnings of the First Amendment, determine that a vertical monopoly is unacceptable under the confines of a free market, and believe that it shouldn't exist. Vertical monopolies are improper within a capitalistic system. They are actually caused by state intervention, as we see California throwing money at multi-billion-dollar corporations, the government giving them broad protection in the copyright arena that it doesn't necessarily extend to smaller businesses all the time, differential enforcement of copyright and other similar laws. When you have this system, when you have the government playing favorites, the government is involved in the system. It's not pure capitalism. Not within the commercial framework. So when I see them ranting about Parler and saying, well, leftists have been kicked off Parler, first I would ask you, who? Name a specific individual who says that they were kicked off Parler, and then they're on the left. Then ask them why they were kicked off. Did they post copyrighted content? Did they attack another user? Did they say something illegal? See, there's the nuance that is lost. You don't know why they were banned, or in fact, even if that's actually true, because I don't have an actual name to associate with the claim. I would like to know who was banned and what they were supposedly banned for. Now, I've got plenty of examples of this from big tech sites. For instance, Stefan Molyneux. He's been banned off Twitter. He's been banned off YouTube. YouTube, I think, banned him first. He gets banned supposedly because of hate speech. Doesn't even go through the normal strike system. Twitter lets him go probably just because YouTube let him go. And we've seen this before. Colette gets banned off Twitter. Hate speech. Baked Alaska gets banned everywhere, basically. Well, in that case, I think it's more real-world harm at this point because there's been some shit going on with that. We won't bother to cover that, but kind of funny. I can understand why people would be a little bit mad when you show up with your RV in a parking lot and start blasting the N-word on repeat on your phone, but that's, just me. I can at least, because I can sort of understand why that would be frowned upon, especially it was like fucking the middle of the night. It was like 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. or something like that. It's already dark out and you're doing that shit in the parking lot. Well, what the fuck do you expect to happen? But anyway, Parler has every right to have TOS. So does Twitter. What I would say, though, is if they are a platform and they are editorializing content for a specifically political purpose while taking government grants, platforming government figures and so forth, yeah, it would be unacceptable. But that's not the way, unfortunately, 230 is being applied. It's not even being applied at this point. There's no attempt by Congress. They're not bought off by Parler. They're bought off by Twitter and similar groups. There's no attempt to enforce 230 protections on users. 230, the very idea is that a site can be a platform. Platforms couldn't exist without 230. You're essentially saying the site itself, as long as it is not editorializing and therefore acting as a publisher, should not be able to be sued because somebody else, some third party they platform, put on something illegal. That's essentially what 230 means. Twitter has begun to politically editorialize content. They are literally censoring the President of the United States as we speak. How is that not an editorializing situation? Facebook and Instagram have done the same thing. YouTube and Google, to their credit, haven't. I think they're a little bit more wary. I think it's very ironic that YouTube, run by someone like Sundar Pichai, is actually more hesitant. Initially, it was Jack Dorsey being more hesitant. A couple of years ago, he was like the laissez-faire hippie of them all. No, I'm not going to ban InfoWars. They haven't done anything against the site. And then people dug back through every tweet ever made. And then in a roundabout way, okay, I guess this 3-year-old tweet kind of broke our TOS, so bye. And it was a big cop-out. It's more like the lawyers were calling him. They're like, yeah, we're going to have a problem. The social justice warriors are going to target our sponsors. You got to kick InfoWars off the site. By the way, InfoWars on BitChute, almost 100,000 subscribers. They will be only the second channel to have achieved this after yours truly. It's very interesting. By the way, BitChute is supposedly run by Nazis too, right? According to these, skeptics so-called. Supposedly run by Nazis. Far right and so forth. Their top user's me. The number 2 site is InfoWars, which they didn't get banned for being Nazis. They got banned because the legacy media claimed that they were peddling dangerous conspiracy theories. Jesus Christ, what the fuck was YouTube actually made of 10 years ago other than kooky conspiracy theories anyway? Fucking Art Bell re-uploads and InfoWars and stuff like that was sort of one of the biggest things on YouTube up until fairly recently. Gutting the site completely. And I seem to recall that people are saying, oh, you people are just hateful fascists and you only want free speech for yourself. Dude, some of these skeptics, they literally made their brand off of 2 things. Number 1, violating pre-existing TOS sometimes on these sites against blasphemy, going after religion, and number 2, going after feminism. Almost universally, by the way, among these particular groups, going after third waivers, something that is decreasingly allowed on the mainline tech sites. You're not going to get banned on Parler because you happen to be a leftist. You harass people, you might get banned. You're posting porn, you might get banned. How am I supposed to know why specifically the person was banned? Half the time I can't even get an answer from a mainline tech site when somebody gets banned. Sometimes they don't even tell the person who's been banned. Parler's very upfront about it. Their TOS are there for you to see. It's not 10,000 pages long either, like the Google Terms of Service. Keeping that in mind, it's very, very funny to see someone proclaiming Parler's doing something wrong by having rules on the site. Again, why was the person banned would be the pertinent question. That nuance needs to be explored before you can say whether Parler did anything wrong. Nobody's claiming even that mainline tech doesn't have the right to ban people. We're just questioning, number 1, the expansion of these TOS. Number 2, if it conforms to 230. Number 3, does it conform actually to the idea of equal protection under the law guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, insofar as a U.S. site that platforms government goods and services and figures that are taxpayer funded would ban people from interacting with them. I personally believe it does breach the Constitution. Leftists generally disagree. It's funny because they try to make the libertarian argument, which is actually a straw man leftist argument, posing as a libertarian argument. A free market, it's a free country, it's a free company, they can do what they want. No, corporations don't get to unilaterally do everything they want. It is possible for corporations to break the law. 230 is the law of the land that protects them from lawsuits. If they're not willing to abide by the terms of 230, they should be sued into oblivion. That's about all. Peace out.